It goes back to what you were talking about before. Change, leadership, love, education is about consistency.
Yes.
And about being present.
Absolutely.
And if you don't have that, none of that can happen.
Wow.
Right? Like if you're not consistent, you can't be like loosey-goosey about your values also.
Right.
Hello, and welcome to the Leadership Reality Podcast with your girl, Taiji Charity. This podcast is for C-suite leaders to discuss their experiences and provide insight, encouragement, and inspiration for seasoned and inspiring leaders, offering valuable solutions to today's challenges that will inspire, ignite, and invigorate new and seasoned leaders to walk in their God-given authority with compassion, kindness, and empathy. So sit back, relax, and be prepared to be inspired with today's episode of Leadership Reality. Thank you.
Welcome to another episode of Leadership Realities with me, Taiji Charity. Y'all are in for a very special treat today. My guest is the one and only Naomi Ackerman, the founder and executive director of Advot, a California-based nonprofit dedicated to empowering system-impacted and incarcerated youth through theater-based curriculum. At the heart of her work is a commitment to teaching, communication, fostering healthy relationships, and helping participants find and use their voices to create meaningful change in their lives. Naomi wrote, directed, and performed the internationally acclaimed one-woman show, Flowers Aren't Enough, performed over 2,000 times across the globe, including the United Nations Commission for the Status of Women. The show addresses the realities of domestic violence and has translated into 4 languages. With more than 3 decades of experience as an actress, consultant, and facilitator, Naomi uses storytelling and interactive workshops to inspire self-empowerment, nurture connection, and spark transformative change in diverse communities. Her work has been recognized with numerous awards, including, just name a few, the American Jewish World Global Justice Fellowship, the ACET and Union Bank Local Heroes Award, International Women Achievement Award for Community Leadership, and Covenant Award for Excellence in Jewish Education. Above all, Naomi is the proud mother of her 3 brilliant daughters, Nohar, Ella, and Hadar. She's going to correct that, okay? But that is her inspiration for the day. Her daughters. That's what lead and guides her. So, Naomi, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Now, tell me your 3 daughters' names again.
Zohar, Ella, that's easy, and Hadar.
Hadar.
Yes.
You know what a name like Taiji? I understand.
Yes.
Hadar.
Her whole college personal statement is about her name and how people don't know how to pronounce her name. People pronounce it wrong, and she turned that into her power.
I love it.
So that's exciting.
I love it. What does it mean?
It means glory, and it also means it is the fruit of Israel, the citrus fruit of Israel.
Wow.
It's our national fruit. So yeah.
Well, a very beautiful and honorable name to have.
It is.
All right, let's put
Thank
some
you.
respect on that name now, okay? Let's talk leadership. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
I'm so excited to have you here.
I am so excited to be here. I've been following it. I'm in company of some brilliant leaders, so it is an honor to be here.
Yes. Let's talk about, because I met you through the work you're doing through your own nonprofit, Advot.
Yes, right.
And I had an opportunity to attend one of your events at one of the juvenile facilities and was just completely blown away. So let's talk about the mission of Advot. What is the mission? When did you start it? And why did you start it?
So I founded the organization in 2011, and it was a little bit it happened. It wasn't a dream that I had. I have a one-woman show called Flowers Aren't Enough that deals with the issue of domestic violence. And when I moved to LA from Israel, I was performing a lot in high schools. And I partnered with a domestic violence agency. How do we open this Pandora box of a conversation about healthy relationships and really talk to youth about self-worth, about good relationships, healthy relationships? And I created this little kind of educational workshop using theater to empower youth to be in healthy relationships. And I was commissioned to go out into one of the lockup facilities, and my life was forever changed.
Wow.
Because I walked into this facility, and when I came to before I came to teach the kids, I was asked by probation, like, you want to do theater with these kids? Like, these aren't kids who do theater. These are gangbangers, and they're not going to play with your puppets and your masks and do monologues. And like, oh yeah, they will. They will.
Yeah.
And they did. And they were amazing. And theater has the capacity to open your heart.
Yeah.
Theater has the
It's
capacity.
a creative outlet.
It's a creative outlet, and it's also a great practice for who you want to be.
Yeah.
Because I can stand and pretend and then say, wait a second, I can actually be that.
Yes.
I love that, right?
You pretend enough, right?
That you believe in it.
That you believe it.
And
Absolutely.
so that kind of opened the door of these kids who literally are sent to be not seen, not heard, not celebrated, and are punished for actions that they did because of their trauma, and not treated for the trauma that they've endured.
Yeah.
And we're so punitive that we forget to see how much potential they are. Well, not we, but the system doesn't see their potential.
Right.
The system is just really busy punishing them.
Right.
And I was like, what would happen if we gave these kids tools to have not to have a voice, because they have a voice, but what would happen if we would encourage these kids to use their voice? Because we come and do a program. I'm not going to be, now I am with many of them for their life, because we love them and we want to support them. But
Absolutely.
Our job is to come in, give them tools, and say, hey, walk through the door.
Yes.
There's a world out there that you need to be in. There's a world out there that needs you. On the contrary of what you have been told.
Absolutely.
That you're not important, that you don't matter, that you're going to end up in county, or you're going to be dead, or you're a deadbeat.
Right.
And they have, and I always say that they have been my best teachers.
Yes.
So the mission is to use theater and the arts to teach communication skills and relationship building, so that they can become the masters of their life and be self-advocates and really be able to have a voice, because we believe, as it says on my shirt, that your voice is your power.
Is your power.
And we really, what I know to be true is that relationships are key to success in life.
Absolutely.
Communication is key to relationships.
Absolutely.
And being an artist and a theater person, I believe deeply, and I also know there's no better way to teach communication and relationships than through theater and fun and joy and laughter. So that's kind of where we take the arts, really to empower youth to be the best version that they can be.
Yes.
And sadly, lots of times we have to come in and say, hey, you are amazing.
Yeah.
You're brilliant.
Yeah.
Now let's celebrate that.
And it's interesting because we categorize those as soft skills when we're working with the emotional intelligence, when actually they're the foundational skills of who we are as individuals, right? Because you can't really love and care about someone else if you haven't first loved and cared about yourself, or if you don't love and care about yourself. It is impossible to love and care for someone else.
I think it's also about self-worth. If you don't believe you're worthy,
Right.
then I've sat in a courtroom where a judge will say to a kid, well, what do you want to say? And the lawyer will say, shh. If you don't believe you're worthy and say, excuse me, wait, yes, Your Honor, I'd like to say something. You're not going to use your voice if you don't think it matters, right?
Absolutely.
You're not gonna step up if you don't, like, right? And what's interesting, I don't know if you remember this because it was a while back in the show that you saw, we always start off by a kid stands up and says, my name is, and I am.
Yes. I remember that.
And we say to them, and that's
so powerful.
but is sometimes in the beginning when we start working with them,
They can't do it.
they can't do it. I'm like, dude, you know your name. You don't have to look at the piece of paper. What's your name? They'll say, Taiji. Look at the audience and say, my name is Taiji. Don't look at the script.
Right.
Your name, you lead the world with your name.
Yeah.
And no one has said that to them.
Yeah.
So that's where we start. And it's, I think you probably know from your work and what a privilege it is to be 10 years, 15 years in, and to say, this isn't just a mission.
Right.
We know that this is
It's
success.
life-changing, absolutely.
We have kids who are in college. We have kids who've graduated high school. We have kids who did not end up in county. Because that's how powerful the arts are.
Absolutely.
You know, I always say,
Absolutely.
people talk about, oh, the benefit of arts. I said, I'm not going to tell you what art can do. I'm going to tell you what art has done.
Yes,
That's-
that's good.
yeah.
That's good. Let's talk about it from the present today
Yes.
terminology.
Yeah.
I love that. Tell me, what does Advot mean?
So the word, so I grew up in the Middle East in Israel, and I'm fluent in Hebrew, and the word adva means ripples.
Okay.
So advot is ripples,
Okay.
and I very much believe in the ripple effect of change. You
that's
make
good.
one small, it's like when you throw that rock into the water and you see,
that,
right?
that ripple effect.
So if you say to your PO, instead of, PO, you need to let me make a phone call, and the PO can say, no, I don't. What a change would happen if I said, hey, PO, I'd really appreciate a phone call. He'll let you make the phone call.
Absolutely.
You'll make the phone call. Your grandma will hear from you. She'll be happy.
Yeah.
You'll feel good. Bam. Everybody's happy.
Yes.
Sometimes it's one word, it's one action that literally can change your whole life. And what we try to also do with the kids is identify where was a moment where you could have made a better choice. Did you have to go into that liquor store and do whatever you did there? Could you have stayed at home? Did you got to talk back to that one or this one? Did you need to cuss out the judge? And not because we're teaching manners, because we want you to succeed.
Yeah.
So just think about what you're doing. We all think about what we do,
That's good.
right?
That's
So
good.
that's really important. So we really believe in the ripple effect of change. And I love the power of one small change. You know, change, and I'm sure that you know this, you know, change doesn't happen overnight.
Right. No, you're absolutely
Change
right.
happens when every Thursday you schlep up to the
Consistency.
Camp Scott and you do that's not there anymore, but you know, you is showing up, is being present, is taking a breath when a kid makes a bad mistake, taking a breath when you made a mistake, and saying, okay, tomorrow we're going to try again.
Yeah.
Tomorrow we're going to do it differently.
It's the consistency. And it's so funny because I was listening to a podcast from Rick Warren. You know, he's a pastor. He's the guy that wrote the book, Purpose Driven Life. And so he was talking about, we have so many brand news, like new starts. Every 365 days, you have a brand new year. Every month, you have a brand new month. Like, there's so many opportunities to start over. Every week, you have a brand new day of the week, you know, and then every 24 hours is a brand new day. So meaning Sunday I may have fallen, or at the end of the week I may have, Monday I can make a better decision. Monday I can get up and start over again. We make New Year's resolutions every year, right? But we can do that on a daily basis because
I would up that by one, every breath.
that's even better.
I was recently
Every breath.
I was recently on a retreat somewhere and we did breath work. Every breath is a moment to
Make a
say,
decision, and a good decision.
I'm going to do this differently,
Yeah,
or I'm not going to do that anymore,
yeah,
or okay, I want to be that.
yeah,
How do I make that happen? And every breath can take you in a new direction.
absolutely.
And every breath is an opportunity to leave that old breath behind, right? Like,
So when did you get to this point? I mean, at some point you had to know that I have these leadership skills that I can help someone else, you know, make better decisions and understand that every breath you get to make a difference. When did you discover that? Because you talk about this one-woman show on domestic violence, so there has to be a story underneath that even caused this one-woman show. What's that story?
So I've been doing this one-woman show for a very long time. And as an actress, it's the only thing I still perform because most of my time, energy, and life is the work of Advot. I'm an executive director. I'm a leader. We've grown. I have a team. It's raising money. It's all of the boring admin stuff. It's working with probation and all of these systems that, you need a lot of patience to work with, but I was really fortunate that I was commissioned to write this piece. And it's not my story, but it could be all of our stories. I also had the great fortune to tour the world extensively and work a lot with Indigenous women globally on finding a voice and having a voice. And I think what I learned through the show, I think it's a combination, right, of leadership in art and theater. I became an actress not because I wanted to be really famous or, of course we all won an Oscar because every actor's practiced that speech in front of the mirror, and whoever says they didn't, don't believe them. But I was an activist beforehand. I always did a lot of social justice, and those are words that people throw around a lot, and I actually like taking a minute to talk about that. I grew up in a Jewish observant home where my parents were very committed to community. They were very committed to working with underserved communities. My late father, before we moved to Israel, marched with Martin Luther King. Racism is unacceptable. Opportunity is what needs to be. People should have the same opportunities. And when I finished my undergraduate in education, I studied special education. I was like, I want a wider platform. I want to have a louder voice. I want my soapbox not just to be in rallies or in demonstrations. I want a spotlight on me so that the causes that I believe in will have a bigger platform, a louder platform, and be seen and heard. Excuse me. So I went to a very prestigious I don't even know how I got into that school. It's like the Juilliard it's like the most prestigious acting school in Israel. But when I went...
What's the name of the school?
It's called Nisan Nativ.
Okay.
And very hard to get into. And I always look back and I think I got into it because I wasn't a shishi actress. I was like the social activist. So I wasn't as invested in being an actress. I was really invested in the platform. So with my, in Israel, when I started doing the show, I saw how powerful it was to create change. Women would come up to me afterwards and they were like, oh my God, that was me. Like, thank you. And it wasn't my story. I had interviewed dozens of women and I compiled a story, and I worked a lot. I was in South Africa, and I've spent a lot of time in India and really globally working with Indigenous communities and even places who didn't know English, and there was simultaneous translation. Something about seeing something in front of you, and no offense to your medium, which is film, but theater, like I'm standing there.
It's live.
It's live.
Yeah.
There's like no negating that.
Right.
And I remember I was once in this very rural village in India, and I was performing in English, and I really don't know what the translator was saying, because I would do one sentence in English, and she would translate for like 5 minutes, and I'm like, oh, okay, I guess
That's
she
a lot,
needs
right?
more. And then I would do like more, and then she would go just like blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, lady, what are you doing? Okay, whatever. But at the end of the show, and in the show, I play all the characters, and I made this convention that whenever the perpetrator, the husband, talks to the victim, to the woman, he looks down at her, and she always looks up at him, and kind of just creating this.
This visual.
This visual, and I'm tall, so it's like it's not that I'm small. It's just making her small.
Yeah.
And a woman came up to me and she was like, "Oh, I don't know if I didn't really understand the English so well of what you did, but I saw her looking up to him, and I saw him looking down at her. Oh, I got the whole story, and that was me, and I'm gonna stop right now." And she was like, "Namaste," and she left. Yeah.
Wow.
So there's something about live theater, both as me as an audience watching it, and there's so many layers. I'm identifying, I'm seeing myself, I'm seeing the other person, I'm moved, the compassion, the tears. But it's also what I'm experiencing watching the youth perform is the exhilaration of people listening to you.
Oh, yeah.
There's always for me a moment in the show, and I still perform it, where suddenly you have the buzz, where everyone's like, and it's usually when she's like very emotional, the character, and I'm crying, and literally everybody's just like this, and you can feel them leaning in, and I'm like, this is where you're going to change, people. This is where the change is going to happen.
Yeah.
And you see that, and you see that also in the work of Advot. We recently had a show in one of the boys' lockup facilities, and we had this idea, what would happen if we brought them all out to take a bow wearing suits?
Oh, wow.
The boys.
Yes.
And we got
What's the age range?
So in LA County, you can be detained in the lockup facilities, I think from age 12, but I'm not 100% sure. Because we once had a kid who was 10, which that's just
Lord
disgusting.
Have mercy.
That's like, I have nothing to say about that. But so it's usually the kids that we see are typically 14 to 18.
Okay.
Because after 18, they're not considered minors
Julie,
anymore.
Yeah.
And sometimes a judge will have mercy, and if someone just turned 18, because the beauty of the juvenile detention facilities is that they can be expunged from your record.
Yeah, that's good.
Once you go to county, once you go to jail or to prison, that's a lot harder to get off your record.
Okay.
So we, like a broken record, this is a hiccup. You can be here and this can be the end. Yeah. But so in this particular group, I would say there were 14-year-olds, 15-year-olds. There was one guy who was, I think, maybe 17 or 18. And there's been also, just I want to add, there's been a change now because we don't try juveniles as adults, and there's another unit where there's actually kids who are older, but that's a whole different story. So we asked the director of the facility, can we bring suits and have them wear suits? And he said, and then he said, yeah, and then he said, and I have another request. You have to give them these suits when they leave. So I will find the suits, I will get them shoes, we'll get everything. We will prepare a bag with their name. I'm asking you to keep those bags in your office, and each kid, upon their release, with their personals, give them that bag.
That is so beautiful.
Okay, so the kids come out, and they're amazing.
Of course.
They're amazing, and they look brilliant. And we're like, everybody's clapping and cheering, and it's this beautiful moment, and the parents are seeing them, and it was just, this is how it should be. That's how they should be seen.
Yes, I can only imagine.
Oh my God, it was brilliant. So
for them individually, right? So
someone asked one of the guys, there's always a Q&A, you remember there was a Q&A. So someone says, so have you ever worn a suit before? And the guy said, nope. And he says, well, how did it feel to wear a suit? And the guy looks at him and he says, I'm not going to lie, I fucking feel like God.
Wow. Wow. The power of a suit.
It's the power of the little things.
Yeah.
You know, I was looking at and I have two anecdotes, but when I am very lucky that I have a very fierce village that supports our work, that steps up, and you know, support isn't always money. Right. Support is, I'll put on Facebook, hey, I'm trying to get suits for a group of kids in detention.
Absolutely.
I didn't say kids. I just put out to my village, I'm looking for suits for a group of detained people that maybe I said youth detainees that I work with, or I think I just said I'm looking for suits. Anyway, that's not the part of the story. I didn't think about that these are kids. I didn't ask for kids' suits. Also, I have 3 daughters, so I know nothing about suits, right? Like I didn't think that I need youth suits.
Yeah.
And the first time that we brought the suits, you know, we put a rack and they were all too big on the guys. But they wouldn't let me take them.
Really?
And they like found a string and they would tie the back and they're like, no, miss, it's okay, it's okay. I said, baby, I'm gonna bring you another suit. It's okay. No, don't take it, please. And it was too big and the shoulders were falling off. And I said, this was my bad.
Wow.
And I told them, I have girls. I can go buy high heels with you like there's nobody's business.
Yeah,
I'll go into Lululemon and show you all of those ridiculously stupid, expensive, right stuff. But I've never bought a suit for a boy. Like I didn't think about it.
Yeah.
I didn't even know that there's like lengths for ties. Of course, there's lengths for ties, right? So, but I don't know that.
You don't
right?
think of, right?
And they were so desperate that I don't take the suits, that I could only take them when I brought other ones.
Wow.
Right? And then
Wow.
one
You
guy.
have to do the exchange.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry.
Wow. I mean, it's so much, like there's so many questions that's just flowing through my mind because we could get in the nitty gritty of the work itself.
Yeah.
Because the work you're doing is phenomenal in and
Thank
of
you.
itself. But I want to talk about how did you build your team? Like, what is that like? What is the culture of your organization? And I know we're running out of time. We'll have to do a part 2, 3, and 4 with you, Naomi, because you and I could talk for hours,
true.
right?
And I really appreciate also, I thought a lot of the questions that you sent me, which are great. So I want to come back and talk about those questions because I think how we lead and how we lead as women is really important.
Yeah.
I think putting out into the world that leadership is not why did something happen, but how do we do it better? And I think that the change that I know we share that we want to see in this world is also about cultivating a softer leadership, a loving leadership, a kind leadership. I work really hard with my board to be an environment that cares. An environment that cares means that every staff meeting we have food, which is very Jewish of me also, but but that we see our team, we see their needs. I mean, this week is a really good example. It's a week where. Can I talk about the fires?
Yeah,
Is that
absolutely.
Like, does it matter that we're going to be doing it later?
No,
It doesn't
let's
matter.
talk about it.
I'm looking there. I'm looking
No,
here.
let's.
So this is a really good example. Like my team, the lock-up facilities are really far.
Yeah.
And they're a little bit nervous of driving there. I'm like, so don't go. Well, like the team, if I don't love on my team, hear them, listen to them, make them feel worthy, they can't go into a lockup facility and make the kids feel worthy.
Right.
If I'm going to be punitive, not pay them if they don't get their Excel sheet in for the timesheet, like that, what are we doing?
Yeah.
You can only lead by example, and you can only cultivate a team with the values that you believe in. And if you put on your website values and you don't live by them, then I'm not interested in your values.
That's good.
Like if you're not there to support a team member if they're sick or one of their kids are sick, if you're not there for something that's completely personal, I don't I don't say you have to, of course you don't have to,
right.
but there's always an option for the workplace to be a place that will catch you if you fall, right?
Yeah.
We can't just do that for, we talk, we're creating a alumni program now, and we're trying to figure out how do we support youth that went through our program and continue to be in dialogue with them, right?
Yes.
The needs are so vast, and our mission is narrow. We don't give homes, we don't pay for education, we don't how can we support? And one of the things that I use as a metaphor, I say we're the train station. We're a constant. If I met you at a lockup facility, you jived with my program, come to my office.
Wow.
And you can sit in my office and I'll give you the computer to write a resume. I mean, I'm not going to give it, but I'll connect you to someone who gives out computers.
Yeah.
I will show you all the different trains. I'll be the connector. And if you got on the wrong train, I hope you look back.
Yeah.
I'm the station. We will be here.
That's
because
good.
it goes back to what you were talking about before. Change, leadership, love, education is about consistency.
Yes.
And about being present.
Absolutely.
And if you don't have that, none of that can happen.
Wow.
right? Like if you're not consistent, you can't be like loosey-goosey about your values also.
Right. Who are some of your favorite leaders?
I love, this is like a cliche, I was thinking about that when you wrote it. I really love Michelle Obama. And one of the reasons that I love her is...
I can give you snap on that.
Yes, but I have two others. What I love about Michelle Obama is actually the Michelle that we're meeting now.
Yeah.
And how different she is when she was the president's wife. And what I love about that, because I think that's really important, is that her light was not less when she was a little bit more conservative. She just understood the job.
Yeah.
And now, when her hair is different, her clothes are different, it's like, oh girl, I love you. Like, I think a good leader is able to balance who you need to be in the public eye and who you want to be personally.
That's good.
And that's real balance. And you know, I've spent a lot of time in India, and I love the women in India because they hold tradition. Even wearing a sari, I always talk about this.
Yeah.
Like, to me, these women wear a sari, their whole belly is sticking out. I should have that humility to be able to let my tummy stick out like that, right?
Right.
If you ask me to wear a bikini now, I'd like, Taiji, you can't pay me enough. I'm not putting on a bikini. But these women, they walk around in this traditional garb, but it's so powerful. Like, here's my belly. I don't care. I'm like, I'm too vain. I'm not going to wear that. I don't want to wear that. So these Indian women, I am just very, very, I've spent a lot of time working in India with women, and I'm just really impressed by them in their capacity to hold tradition.
Yeah.
But yet stand up for their own and
Yeah.
negotiate that. And I have to say that I'm always in awe when I'm in a lockup facility or a kid who's been really impacted by a system and they rise up and lead.
Oh, yeah. Whew.
Those kids
am
rock
too.
my world.
Yes.
And one particular young woman who, she's a very quiet leader. I've been mentoring her since she's 14. And she inspires me to no end. Her name is Merced. And she's going to be graduating college this year.
Congratulations.
And what inspires me is how she doesn't give up.
Yeah.
Because as I started, every day there's 50 reasons to give up, if not 500.
Yeah.
And it's hard.
Yeah.
You know, she works, she takes care of her half-sister, she travels to college, she travels there, she's this, she always says to me, Naomi, this is so hard. I'm like, yeah. But she's doing it.
Yeah.
So I am really, really inspired by the leaders that I meet in the systems that I work, because those kids have every reason to give up.
Absolutely.
And when they don't, I'm like, you can't give up. Like I said to myself, you can't give up. They're not giving up. You got to be present for them.
Right.
So,
wow.
yeah.
The power of just being resilient.
Yeah.
Even when they shouldn't have to be.
Yes.
The power of being resilient. Naomi, man, time went by way too fast. I told you were in for a special treat today, right? Oh my gosh, I feel like I've learned so much.
Thank you.
Just in terms of, you know, talking about the underlining psychology of how our brain works in terms of theater and exercising the power of our voice and what that means to us as individuals so that we can show up in the world unapologetically.
Unapologetically, and you matter.
You matter.
Your voice matters, and never think that you're less, because you're always more. Always.
We're going to end it with that. Never think that you're less, okay? You are absolutely worth it. Naomi, thank you again for being here today. That is our show. I already know you grabbed nuggets, so I need you to make sure that you took some notes so that you can go back and review and apply and own this for yourself, because your voice really does matter, and you are worthy of just all the greatness that life has before you. So until next time, do those 3 magical words: like, share, and subscribe. All right? Until next time, enjoy your leadership journey. Bye now.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is our show for today. I hope you were inspired and you gained some valuable nuggets that will help you to become a better leader and to walk in your God-given authority. Bye until next time.